Welcome back to Eye on the Money, and on this particular episode we're talking about myths and truths when it comes to doing entrepreneurship. And with me in studio is Shiba Njagi, Head of Learning and Innovation at Centonomy. Now Shiba, you were talking to us about some of the myths out there and what the reverse of them is true.
Yeah.
But to pick up the conversation, a lot has changed in how businesses are being carried out. In fact, you mentioned it yourself in the last episode we had, where you said businesses that are not innovating, regardless of how well they're doing, at some point they'll wish that they did. So my question is, with the current realities, how, and I would even like to talk particularly in the Kenyan context, it could even be over the last year, because I feel like that has been the most dramatic effect on businesses and how they're operating. What does the new reality look like? And as an entrepreneur going into doing business, now what does the mindset look like? What should they think about?
Okay. They need to be, number one, very customer focused. Entrepreneurs more than ever, especially since the last year, since all the changes we are experiencing, economic issues, we are facing elections coming up, we've been facing a pandemic. Entrepreneurs need to really focus on being customer-centered, being customer-driven. The main thing that keeps your business alive is business, is revenue, is when your client calls you and tells you, come and sort me out, or send me this, or deliver this to me. And if you really don't focus on them, before, so many people were running businesses and they always knew someone will always show up. So many people, look at town, we had so many restaurants and they may not have had to do so much marketing on social media. They didn't have to do much because they always knew people will still walk in. But right now we've seen customer is really king and queen. And we have to think about, what do they need? Why do they need it? Why is it important to them? How can I get closer to them? And you as an entrepreneur have to think how to connect with them deeper so that you can be able to get to their point of need and solve their problem. That's one key reality that has dawned on us. Number two, that something that really surprised me and just blew up in my mind was when they said there is essential work and non-essential work.
Right. I'm essential, by the way.
And then just being able to understand,
right,
where do I fall,
right,
in the ecosystem. That's a real reality. Where do my products and services fall in the ecosystem? And it's okay even if it doesn't fall under, even if it falls under non-essential,
right,
it just now helps you to understand, hey, if I am a non-essential service provider or a non-essential product provider, what do I need to do that is special so that my business can continue to grow? Before, we didn't have such categories. But Corona comes in like this and business are shut down because of essential and non-essential. So now going forward, it's very good for you to understand, where does your business fall in the ecosystem? So that now you can now start asking yourself, what's the right way to position my business so that it can start growing and continue growing? Of course, the pandemic is very different. We can't say, you have to make sure, see how you can run a business in the middle of a pandemic, but it has just helped us to see how to position your business correctly. And finally, how to make sure that you are visible, right? Do you know where your customers are? Are you where your customers are? That is so important. I remember my previous business, as I was sharing with you, grew into an agency, from events to doing experiential marketing and helping businesses to also serve their customers properly. And it brought me to a space where I really got to understand that if as a business you do not go where your clients are, your business revenues will suffer. I used to find clients, we would go make proposals to them, tell them you need this kind of website or you need to do this kind of an event for visibility, and they'd be like, no, as we are known, they will come to us. And now they are really suffering. This is when they are calling, or they would be calling companies like ours then and just say, so what do we need to do with this technology thing? So don't be left behind just because you feel like you are okay the way you are. That's a key current reality. Yeah.
And now you've even talked about that with COVID. You just need to do things differently. You have to figure out how to position yourself. It's just been really an eye-opener, a rude awakening for so many businesses. So as an entrepreneur who's now trying to get into this space, or who's already in this space and is struggling, probably even took a hit and I'm just trying to get up, how am I going, what are the businesses that are going to win going forward? What do they have to do? What does the future, first of all, look like for entrepreneurship in this country? And for those businesses that are going to come out on top, what's going to be necessary?
One of the key things I would say for each entrepreneur who is watching this show, if you're planning to bounce back, you need to go to the ground and find out what are the problems people are going through? What problems are people experiencing? Because an entrepreneur solves problems. If people are no longer suffering from what you used to provide before, it's time to stop. You know, you don't need to force. You don't need to force it. I remember telling one of my clients, and I was telling her, she used to have a juice bar. And of course, the malls are not open. All these shops, her shop in Limuru Road is no longer open because of the pandemic. And she was telling me, now what other business can I do? And I asked her, what do you mean? You just do the same business? It's like, no, but the shop is now closed. I'm like, yeah, but deliveries are still open. Right. In fact, some organizations have grown, some businesses have grown because now things can be delivered to houses. True. So do people still want to take juice? Do people still want to live a healthy lifestyle? You need to just find a different way to deliver it to them. Find out if that's still a problem for them. So what problems are people going through and how can you help them? That's the best way to start a new business. That's also the best way to see how you can get you can start connecting your products or services to a need. It has to be connected to a need. And also remember to also focus on the money. Try to really make sure you keep your costs as low as possible. You may want to start a shop right now, but it may not be the ideal time to start paying rent right now. Ask yourself, are there different ways for me to deliver my product or my service to clients? There's something that usually happens in the CBD. Many product owners now don't have space. Yes. What they've done is they've rented space. Have you seen that?
Yes, rent a shelf.
From the sour malls to all these, they are renting a shelf. Yes. Why are they renting shelves? Because they realize, yes, I'd like to have my own boutique, but before I get there, is there something I can be doing? We have to start thinking like that, as opposed to thinking, oh my God, Kenya, what a problem, all these things. We can start asking, we usually call it a minimum viable product or a minimum viable service. Yeah.
Before I let you go, Shiba, again, still in line with our conversation, and you called it noise at the top of, when we're starting off, and I like that. With noise, there's so much. You just don't know what's important, what's not, what's to pick, what's to leave. So with all the noise out there on entrepreneurship and how to go about it and how to succeed in it, even with the COVID realities, final take home.
Wow. Feed your mind, and feed your mind with the right content creators, if I could use that. Metropole, then watch Metropole, if they have business news for you, because you need to make sure that your mind has, or its conscious is, you've been able to feed it in the right way with the right content, because you can find so much noise in any sort of website. So start asking yourself, what are some of the resources that are available for me, legitimate resources that are available for me to help me grow my business? Can I watch business news? Which are the business news media networks that I can plug into. Okay, can I watch certain YouTube shows? For example, Setonomy, we have a very, very vibrant YouTube show,
Yes, that's true.
especially for entrepreneurs. You can feed your mind. Your podcast, what are you listening to? When you're following people on Instagram, are they also business owners? Could you make sure you're following the right people? And finally, study. Read books written by entrepreneurs. Come over to organizations like Centonomy. We train you on entrepreneurship and we support you on that journey, as well as network. Especially in this world of Zoom and virtual, you can now almost join so many business networking groups online almost for free or at a small fee. So that's what I would say, feed your mind so that now you're able to sift the noise.
Shiba, it's always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
That's been Shiba Njahi, Head of Learning and Innovation at Centonomy. She's been with us for 3 episodes so far, just taking us through entrepreneurship, innovation in entrepreneurship, myths and truths about entrepreneurship, and we're not even done yet. We're just getting started. Remember, this is all a collaboration and partnership with Centonomy. We're going to have so many more episodes of useful information, good personal finance advice, so make sure you stay here with us at Metropole, and remember that subscription platform that we're introducing that will give you access to a lot more extended information that you may not particularly get here on TV. But in the meantime, make sure you catch up with the episodes that you've missed on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your programming.